respect to a wastewater network. It is based on a gravity system and takes advantage of all of the tools built into the geospatial extension. In this case, I've already used the map manager of the geospatial extension to go in and open up a master file which contains my wastewater network, as well as attaching some additional land-based information, in this case cadastral, made up of mostly parcels and road network. Let's have a look at some of the placement tools of Bentley Wastewater. First of all, I'll zoom into an area of interest. And Bentley Wastewater takes a rules-based approach in that when we place, for instance, manholes or we place nodes, there are rules built into the system such that pipes can only be placed connected to those nodes because we have a closed network. First thing I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I'll place a node. And when I go to place a node, I have the options of adding all sorts of attribute information as I'm placing the graphic. So I could go through here, I could pick the initial cover elevation, the bottom elevation, train elevation, various attributes. And all of these attributes can actually be very easily customized in terms of how they appear in the dialog through a simple ASCII text file. Optionally, I can also inherit attributes from any existing node or any existing pipe. So for instance, if I want to select on an existing pipe and I inherit those attributes, you'll notice it picks up all of the values from that existing node. Now in my case, the only thing I might change here is I might change the actual elevations. So in this case, let's make this next node downstream of here. And so I'll enter some appropriate elevations. And first thing I would do now is go in and I would place the node. So we'll go ahead and we can place the node. The next thing I would do as part of this workflow is to go in and place a pipe. When I place the pipe, I can go in and once again I can inherit attributes from an existing pipe. So if I say let's model it after this pipe and capture those attributes, it tells me it's a 75 millimeter PVC pipe, and then there's other information here that I could optionally fill in. So I could say it's going to be a proposed pipe, the owner is going to be public, and so on. I also have some drafting tools here if I want to make it parallel to an existing element, or in my case, if I just want to go ahead and place it, it's going to prompt me first to select the upstream node. So I would select this node here, 614W, and we'll accept that. And you'll see it automatically picks up the terrain elevation of that node. It gives me the node number. It dynamically displays the length of the pipe as I move around my cursor. At this point, I could place as many vertices as I like, or I could select the end node. When I select that end node, it's going to tell me the node that I've selected. Once again, it's going to show me the downstream elevation at that point, and it'll also give me the slope here. So I can go ahead, I can accept that. You'll notice that it automatically annotates that pipe. So in this case, it tells me it's a PVC 75 millimeter, and it gives me the exact length of the pipe. Now, one thing that is quite useful about Bentley Wastewater is that all of the annotation is database driven. So if I were to go in and change the length of the pipe or change the material type or the size here, it will automatically update the attributes to reflect that. So if, for instance, I were to go in and let's say we take this node here and we move it a little bit further down, and then we go ahead and we update our view. When I update that view, you'll notice that it automatically updates the length of that pipe, not only in the annotation, but also in the database. Similarly, if I were to go in and edit that particular pipe, and I were to change the material type, let's say from PVC to concrete, and go ahead and save that in the database, you'll notice it'll also update the annotation to reflect that. Let's have a look as well at some of the capabilities in terms of the data we can store and review. Because we are looking at a wastewater system, we can also have things like observations that we attach or link to the pipe. So things like leaks as an example. I can go in and I can look at any of these observations by simply selecting on them. I can review on any one of these observations, select on it. In this case, I can see, for instance, that this particular observation is a leak. It's a class 2, which is basically information that I can use later if I want to look at the overall quality of an entire pipe. I can have different classes of leaks. I can have what's called a physical index contribution, which is basically a number that between 0 and 100 that might indicate how severe this particular leak is. And by using an overall summary of these physical index contributions, I can determine whether a pipe needs replacing. If, for instance, I were to select on that image, I can bring back a quick screenshot in a JPEG format or whatever image format I like. In addition, there's a number of review tools for reporting through Bentley Wastewater. I could go in and I could create some side view diagrams as an example here. When I create a side view diagram, there's different information that I can choose to put on that side view diagram, basically information about the pipes and about the nodes themselves. Things like elevation, stationing. In this case, I'm going to exaggerate the height 10 to 1 just so I can see the slope of the pipe more easily. So I'll go in and I'll select on a number of pipes. I can pick on, for instance, this pipe, and this pipe. And then I can place that side view diagram, and let's just zoom out a little bit further, and I'll place it off to the left here, or to the right rather. And as we zoom in, you can see there's different information that in my side view diagram I chose to put in there, and I'll just turn off my fence. So we've got things like the stationing, the bottom elevation. When we create these side view diagrams, you can see we could, based on the legend here, I can see things like critical elevation for that particular manhole. I can also see any crossing pipes. So in this case, there's another pipe that crosses this particular pipe, and things like the stowage elevation, the train elevation, and so forth. We could also create node diagrams in a very similar manner, where all I have to do is simply go in, pick on the node diagram tool, and I could either view that in the top view or in a side view. So I could go in and select on a node of interest, and then take that node, and then I'll just pan off to the right here, and I'll place that node diagram. I could have done the same thing with a side view diagram. And we'll go in, we'll pick on that same node, and we'll place that as well off to the right here. So it gives me a very quick graphical report on a particular node or a particular series of pipes with very little effort on the part of the user. And I can simply delete those quickly as a graphical group. In addition, we can do graphical reports for things like showing me flow direction. So if I want to go in here and say, show me the flow direction along a pipe, I can just specify a size and color of an arrow that I'd want to show that. So I could start, and I'll do that within a fence. So I'll place a fence out in my view, and I'll go ahead and I'll start from this point here. And within my fence now, it goes in and it shows me the flow direction because Bentley Wastewater is based on a gravity system. We could also do a similar type report where we would say show the flow from any given point. So show me in red, for instance, everything that's upstream of a given node, in green, everything that's downstream in a given node. And so I can start, say, this node more or less in the center of my screen here, and it very quickly color codes the pipes. So the green ones here are downstream of this particular node, and the red ones are upstream of that particular node.